We believe, as Secretary Blinken said when he came to China, and he said this publicly, that the activities of the Chinese government allowing this to happen have strengthened the Russian industrial base significantly over the last 2 years, and we've called on the government of China to stop Chinese firms from providing this material. They have not done so. That is a real problem in our relationship, and it kind of completes my answer to your question. The answer from the European countries, our allies in NATO, to the Chinese has been remarkable to see. You and I have both observed Europe's strategic view of China over, say, 3 or 4 decades. Both NATO and the EU have now branded China a strategic rival because China is supporting Russia on an issue that it's existential for Europe. It's this brutal division by Putin of the continent of Europe and this attack on a member state of the United Nations, Ukraine. So the Chinese don't appear to really understand. I don't think they really grasped what they were doing in aiding Russia, that it would have this very profoundly negative impact on their relationship with Europe and with us, because we have told the Chinese the future of Europe is a core interest of the United States. The Chinese are fond of telling us Taiwan's a core interest, the South China Sea is. We have said,
I think you ought to let the ambassador continue to speak. I think you should allow the ambassador to speak, and we'll ask you to please leave the hall.
Our president has authorized
I think we'd ask you to please be quiet and leave the hall. Yeah. Nick, let me just pick up the conversation before the intrusion here. I think the thing that still mystifies me was that China had actually a very good thing going with the global world, the marketplace. It was actually, people were quite comfortable and friendly towards China, willing to trade. What do you think it was that turned the worm to make them sort of activate in a very negative way these relationships with a lot of neighbors, but people elsewhere in the world as well?
Yeah.
Why did this happen? And what do you think went through their sort of minds to say, this is the right course for China to take?
Well, Orville, first of all, maybe I should just say, and it's the fair thing to do, that obviously everybody has a right to their own views, and the great thing that we love about our country is people get to stand up in a meeting like this and disagree. So I don't take that negatively at all. And that's important to say on June 6th as we reflect on what that really means. The bravery and the sacrifices that our parents' generation made, both of ours, a lot of ours.
We will ask you to please to be silent so that we can hear from the ambassador. If you have a question, could you reserve it for the question period? We'd be happy to entertain it.
I'd be happy to answer your question once we finish.
Yes. Would you please not disrupt the meeting and ask the question in the question and answer period? Otherwise, you are going to be escorted out. Yeah. Well, I think this gives us a suggestion.
I think I remember your question.
Yeah. This is a highly...
And, look, if people want to stay, I'm happy to answer any question like that.
Well, we're going to have questions in a short moment.
I think that...